Yo, I just wanted to mention that if you go back, like, I guess 5 months ago exactly, I had posted these videos, right? I guess 5 months, 3.5 days. And I specifically had brought up, you know, Donald Trump the Beast and Elon Musk the false prophet. Has something evolved that, like, where I've changed my opinion? I'm not sure, but they've fought since then. And then now there's Elon Musk is trying to start a third party, and it happened. Seemingly, the announcement was exactly 5 months from the point I made those videos. So maybe the idea of that is the third party is the um is like the beast system, or like the beast empire or something. And or some or something. I'm not sure, or maybe it's the other way around or something. But I can just clearly see that that happened 5 months from when I made those videos. Um, and yeah, that's just something I noticed. So I just wanted to point that out because seemingly what's been happening 5 months from different periods, like is what is going on. So I have a feeling that probably something here happens. Probably something here happens at Yahweh is God and Lily J is a liar. Um, I'm assuming some kind of attack on me uh, has happened in various places or something. Very obviously, she's just willing to lie and stuff, and we'll see what happens. Maybe she's lying to all the Muslims, and I'm gonna cuck a bunch of Muslims with Lily J. Uh, um, in any instance, it looks as though we're approaching where I started to acknowledge, or I like first used Grok, which was Grok 3, and like we're about to be in Grok 4. Like, here, we could even look it up. Yeah. All right. Grok 4 on Wednesday. What's today? Tuesday. So it looks as though Grok 4 comes out, and like whether or not that's the iron rod, I'm pretty sure the iron rod is like what happens with my right leg, and that feels as though it's imminent, like more than ever. But I've said that before, but in the past, like since about here, the Anja and Noah facial Ambrosio facial recognition match with me. 5 months from that point is when it feels like something happened a few days ago, right? And it was around this date, 5 months from this date, and then like it was just bang, bang, bang from this point on. And um, so I have a feeling. I have a feeling that somewhere around this time, I mean, I don't know. I just think every day is going to get more like, we're headed towards just very obviously. I believe we're in Revelation. Like we're we're fast approaching the point where it is in, like, probably when I get my right leg is like, I think the part where it, here. I think it's like where it talks about the powerful angel coming down from heaven wrapped in a cloud with a rainbow over his head and a face like the sun, and his legs were pillars of fire. In his hand, he had a small scroll unrolled, and he put his right foot in the sea and his left foot on the land, and he shouted so loud it was like a lion roaring. At this, 7 claps of thunder made themselves heard, and when the 7 thunderclaps had spoken, I was preparing to write when I heard a voice from heaven saying to me, "Keep the words of the 7 thunderclaps secret and do not write them down." Then the angel that I had seen. Interesting that it's saying thunderclaps, and I'm just noticing, like, well, there was a point I started saying, like, I'm doing lightning labs, but I put thunder superpowers here at 218, so that's on the 18th, 10 days from now. That'll be 5 months. And mm, here I made one. I made a video, possibly strongest thunder I've ever heard. It was a very loud thunder, you know, and like a ridiculously loud thunder. So keep the words of the 7 thunderclaps secret and do not write them down. Then the angel that I had seen standing on the sea and the land raised his hand to heaven and swore by the one who lives forever and ever and made heaven and all that is in it, and earth and all it bears, and the sea and all it holds. The time of waiting is over. At the time when the 7th angel is heard sounding his trumpet, God's secret intention will be fulfilled, just as he announced in the good news told to his servant the prophets. Right? And when I keep saying you have like the right leg, left leg thing, notice how it differentiates left foot and right foot in land and sea. And so if this is going to be, if I'm placing myself as this character, my left foot is the one that I have. So I have the land. And it seems like I'm about to have the sea. So, and look, like here I am in this thumbnail raising my arm. And then the 2 witnesses and 42 months, 1,260 days. You know what I'm talking about. Um, so I'm guessing something is about to happen relating to, I mean, maybe the third temple type thing, because I don't, I don't think that I don't think, like, the body of believers, we're a temple, right? This the spirit of Yahweh houses inside the body of Christ and believers. And so anyway, so but it does seem, because it talks about this, but it might be that the holy city is right here. You know what I mean? So, and something is, it's like literally this thing is going to happen, and the two witnesses are people here, maybe, but maybe something is mirroring over in Israel at the same time, and that's the idea of like what's going on with why like when it's basically creating the sovereign here in Texas that then it's like around the world, and something is maybe about to come in and like be too close to me for 42 months or something, or 1260 days, and after that the and it's going to mirror in Israel as it's happening, and it's just like when I'm saying, well, my around when my parents were born, Israel was created. Around when my dad went to Vietnam, Israel went to war, and gained Jerusalem. As these things are going on in my reality, it's directly mirroring onto the situations that are going on in that. So whether it's a simulation or like, I have this book. Obviously, I have the Bible. I've talked about this before. The Bible's the real book, but this is a book that is interesting. But before we get into that, um, I've talked about the world being a giant, kind of like space hive, and but within that hive, there's smaller hives. Cities are like hives. Different organizations are like hives, and so you can have, it's like circles and circles. But just think of hives within hives. And I think maybe even that's the idea of Beyonce, is she's a tool to teach. Like these are just different things are tools to teach me, so that and other people, I can use them to teach other people, but it's to like wake me back up to what this reality is, because I think I had to go to sleep for a bit. Because I think something's already at the point it can scan our minds. I'm not even kidding. Like 5G and stuff. I think they figured that out a long time ago, but I don't think it's like, oh, it's 5G. I just think it's like, well, electrical signals are not that hard to figure out what what something is going to mean if you can figure out a way to measure those. And I think there's a more powerful computer that people aren't that people aren't saying it can, and it can do powerful things. And so, but it's already been accounted for. Like all of it was already all accounted for, and it was literally written into the Bible. And like, if you think you have a more powerful computer, imagine Yahweh has a computer that is infinitely powerful, that like, literally, because you would try whatever you're trying, you're just written into the book as a rebellion. You know what I mean? A rebellion against the thing that actually exists, that is working to get us to the point where nobody dies anymore, and like something wants more than it deserves. And like, I want a lot, but I'm sitting here in my room, essentially, like, unless this thing that I'm about to say with the virtual war thing is actually going on, I'm just a dude in my room, right? Unless I'm Superman or Batman or the Joker, any of these comic book characters. If I'm one of them, I'm pretty much all of them. But like, you know what I mean? That's why all I got to do is probably be funny, and I get to be the Joker. And if I'm the Joker, I might be Superman, and or if I'm the Joker, I might be Batman, and Batman secretly might just be Superman, with who's been hit by a kryptonite thing and has to be a bad man instead of a good man. But if he's a good man and he's God, then that's an L, and he's Kal El, and there's none good but God, right? And so the idea is an L. But is it Kal El? Well, I think the idea of that character is probably Michael, right? Who is like God, and then who is like God. I've already described what it says in Zechariah, but the house of David, and then who's at the head of the house of David? Jesus. And then, what is the thing of overcoming at the seven churches of Asia? You get to be on the throne. with Jesus. But this book that I'm holding up here is called Virtual War. It's a book that I read when I was a kid at Rice Elementary School. And essentially, like, what I remember from it is like, why are we doing war where it's like actual hot war? The idea is it's done in a virtual space, and the wins in the virtual space count as like wins in the reality. But I don't know. Like, I think the idea is if that was a real thing and I was in that, and then I got some kind of underhanded, snaky method knocked me out of my suit, and then some, hypothetically Russia's the other side, and they've been trying to like get over here, and it's just a hive. It's not even Russia anymore. Like, it's like we're in a space rock. They're just using that as a guise to be whatever, right? They were when I was born. It all dissolved and became like something reasonable from the Soviet Union, which was not reasonable for a long time. And then for a little while, a few years after I was born, things were okay. And then some kind of snaky fucking thing got me. And I think it was part of something that it could only be done in a form of a game, and it's kind of like Mortal Kombat. But the idea is that there's some kind of Shao Kahn Emperor character, and I'm like, on the hero's journey to go beat this dude, and then he gets thrown into a burning lake at the end. And Mortal Kombat. And I'm, after that point, not immortal anymore. I mean, not a mortal. I will literally be immortal, because that's what Revelation at the Seven Churches of Asia talks about. That's the gifts at the Seven Churches of Asia. And like, look at the Mortal Kombat thing. It's a dragon. So I'm not worried about some snaky character that thinks it's a dev or world emperor or whatever that is like some kind of Shao Kahn character. I'm not worried, right? And maybe the idea is like I'm like Liu King and I gotta unlock the dragon, but not really. Well, I mean, kind of, because that's what Jesus says is like be as wise as a snake, right? So you got a dragon snaky character. You got to be as wise as the snake, and that means like you might have to, you have to have your own venom, but you don't have to apply it in the same way they do. Venom applied properly is anti venom. Um, so this is like, long story short, I get knocked out of my suit in the thing, and the suit is my body, and it's like maybe even Evangelion is trying to, like, the anime is trying to describe what's going on here, and like it looks like a giant mecha because it's like a Christ body where it like moves all as like a one thing, and mecha is a knockoff of that with the black stone and everything. It's literally just like it could not be more obvious of like, well, you got a white stone that people go kiss and do homage to, and that's supposed to be Jesus, and then okay, and then you got a black stone, this little black stone with a hypercube, and it looks like a giant computer probably is what powers that. But okay. So around, sometime probably in the early 90s, something like it dissolved, and like I think I had the power of not just Michael, but Matt L. Right? I could make everything into toys. Like I was literally Superman. But then the dragon thing struck me, but I killed it. It hit me on the heel, and as long as I could like actually land like I'm Superman with my right leg into the ground, and I don't die in the process, which it could be it felt like a long time to me. Um, then I'd be good. And it looks as though we're like right at the tail end of the me putting my foot down process, or like a few. I've said hours, days, months. I don't expect it to be much more than that. I just, the AC kicked on really like louder than it was. But so anyway, that's what it feels like is going on to me. So I wanted to bring up the Elon Musk Trump thing, and like just say some stuff on camera. Mostly the Elon Musk Trump 5 months and like new party thing. And there would only be within the 47th presidency, 1,260 days left, starting like August 9th. And that does align with 5 months from this video where Alessandra Ambrosio violated my human rights. Now, did she? Am I working with her or against her? Well, like in my thing, I feel like it's like the virtual war thing where I'm just in my room and it's like a video game and I'm collecting loot. And it's like, here's first of all, I have no intention of hurting just any average everyday person who's not like actively participating. It would be like if John Wick is going through the, New York or Houston or LA or wherever, Chicago, Kansas, Atlanta, name a big city. He's going through your city and he's like, he's not trying to fuck with anybody other than there's like a guy, it's like a dungeon, and he's like got to go down and get the guy that he's got to get and then go home. And he's not trying to he's not trying to hit anybody or cause any issues, and he's like actively taking measures to avoid everything is possible. Okay, so as that's like my analogy as far as the women are concerned. I'm not trying to um lord over anybody in a way that is undesired or like toxic and poisonous. And hypothetically, I have a venom of my own, and you've been venomed. I can apply an anti venom if you're willing to go to the place that I'm saying we should go. Otherwise, it's like, well, I only have so much anti venom, so I should save it for someone who's willing to go to the place that I'm willing to go, so that we can get there. And then once we get there, we can anybody that's believed that didn't make it, we can bring them back in because we have enough power. That's the idea. We've already hit the singularity, and we can do that. And if I'm Yahweh on the throne, I have the power over the we to do that because the we is just operating under the me. And I think that's the idea of why Allah talks as like a me and a we, because it's just a knockoff of Yahweh, right? And like Yahweh would say is like Jesus and Yahweh and the Holy Spirit, and but very clearly someone is invited onto the throne, and so is that a third person, or I mean, does that make it a fourth person, or is that just like, yeah, like I am Yo, I'm a guy named Yo. The book says he's gonna put the name on me, like everything, like it very clearly says what it says. So yeah, and I have a bunch of kids also. It seems to be, which is cool. I'm sorry if Dad was angry and mean for a while, or just like I was poisoned. It seems like something, but again, I think I'm coming out of it pretty. I don't know about rapidly, in the right amount of speed that it's not too uncomfortable for me. Because if it's too uncomfortable for me and too jarring, I think it jars other people too. Because I think that if I'm like, again, if it's like virtual war and it's connected, and like I'm also connected to the thing that to Yahweh, it's like he's gonna shake the planet if I'm too bothered or something. You don't want me too bothered, too disturbed. Um. Okay, I don't really. I also don't want to. If I've spoken out of place and like the same thing that I'm saying with my kids. If you were trying to show me something and I'm seeing the exact opposite, well, then first of all, that's probably hilarious. But second of all, like every time, you'd have to wonder when I get it, which I think I did. But it's some kind of. It's like I play Counter Strike inverted, and I think something is trying to tell me. I also think that there's a different way. Like I don't think it's just that the eyes are just like right eye, left eye. I think there's some kind of how you have a controller and like one controls walking and then one controls aiming. I think that's kind of similar. Or even a keyboard and mouse, same idea. So I can walk around, but I've been really like can't aim very well or click very well. Like it's like this kind of movement. That's what's going on with my arm, but not to make any kind of don't take that as whatever. But the idea is that I literally cannot, and I'll even say this when I'm doing bow pose in yoga, and like you have to extend the idea is that your arm is an arrow. The arrow, I can't even, it's like a bent, broken arrow. Um, so hilarious. That's an Oklahoma joke. Hilarious. Um, but it. So as I'm doing the yoga and so I got the side that you pull back with, but I don't have the where I'm gonna do it like this so you don't get the wrong. I'm literally not that like who am I to what are you gonna say that I'm saying anything? But like as I'm going out with my arm, it's in the elbow that I mean even think the elbow. It's like in here that there's like an extension. I mean, it's in a lot of places, but like as I extend, I can literally feel there needs to be more extension that I can't do. It does feel actually like disconnected or broken, but I do think the idea of the right leg, left leg, right side, left side thing is it's less broken than it was, and it's I think we'll be whole here soon. So okay, I'm gonna end this here. We're almost 30 minutes. This isn't too long. This is like a good amount. I made a video yesterday too, so it's not like, whatever. But someone like I think it can be proven that you can apply some kind of mental whatever this thing is that's hitting my leg. I even think it's like the idea of the seraphim that have like burning poison. I think it's something similar to that. And maybe this is just like me understanding or having to learn what this is, what this feels like, what this is like. If I'm going to have the power, I need to understand it. Because it's a snaky power. And like some, it's not a power that other people wouldn't have, but when other people have it, they use it like a snake, like literally the character in, you know, Genesis and in Revelation. So that's the idea of this snaky character is someone who's I would even say if I've been connected to this whole time, it's something that like struck me a while back and then I've had to like heal through it and probably I just seem like maybe it feels like long periods of time have passed or something, but because it does feel I mean years have passed since I think this started, but um I think we are actually at like the end of whatever. I think we're at the part where Revelation, the book, becomes Revelation, the reality. Like so much that it's like even in my bubble, it can't stop me from like the bubble that's been put around me can't prevent it. Whatever the Truman Show thing is, which is it connected to some kind of English, the England, like kingdom thing, where it's I think like certain different all different places have abilities to put different things around you and different wizards have different tricks but like the English one seems to be putting a circus around someone and like it's like a rainbow circus with I don't know, it's like a snake thing. It's similar type of snake. That's what I'm saying. It's a different type of venom, but that it doesn't work against me as well and like it's like that Superman versus the Elite thing, but then they got caught being the Elite, so now they had to like I'm the Elite. Like actually. And so this is where Superman is the elite. I mean, what? You're the elite? No. Well, you're the elite, and Superman's not a chance. You know what I mean? So, um, and there's even tornadoes and stuff in that. So, um, okay, I'm into this here. We're at 30 minutes. So have a blessed one. I'll catch you next time. We're at the end of this. Whatever's been messing with me is we're done. Uh, whatever snaky thing went and got me is being anti-venomed. But okay. Well, hope you enjoyed. Have a blessed one. I'll catch you next time. Later. I'll give it 30 more seconds. Maybe it has to do with the lips. Maybe this is like a kind of like the seraphim, except it's not exactly, but it's I don't know, training construct or something. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Have a blessed one. I'll catch you next time. Later. Phew. Okay, that was a comment because I'm UT Dallas. Anyway, all right. Have a blessed one. Later. Yeah.